Hey everyone, today we will be looking at the ancient Indian agriculture. So, let me take you to a journey through India's ancient agricultural heritage from the early domestication period to the sophisticated irrigation techniques and systems that later shaped the entire civilization. So, let's look at how Indian agriculture developed across this time. Indian agriculture has a long and continuous history, playing a central role in shaping the economy, the social organization, and the cultural life of the subcontinent. And from the early domestication of plants and animals to the development of advanced irrigation and land management techniques, the agriculture has remained the backbone of Indian civilization. And the subcontinent's diverse climate zones enable the cultivation of a wide variety of crops, supporting the growing population and even enabling us with trade with different civilizations around the world. Agriculture in India began around 9000 BCE with the cultivation of wheat, barley, and jujube. Fruit crops, these were fruit crops, jujube and dates, and the staple grains were wheat and barley. And around the 5th millennium BCE, we had cotton cultivation, which emerged and later became the foundation of India's textile traditions and influenced the history of the subcontinent later. This is also a period where domestication and innovation happened. We began domesticating animals such as sheep and goats for wool and meat, and cattle for the dairy products, and buffaloes for the heavy agricultural works. It is also a period where a lot of farming techniques, innovative techniques were introduced, including crop rotation to maintain the soil fertility and the introduction of granary storage for storing the surplus grains and the threshing techniques for grain processing. All these innovative techniques showed or indicated a growing understanding of sustainable agricultural practices. The Vedic period marked a significant and agricultural advancement with the widespread use of iron tools, which include plowing, sowing, and soil preparation. Cow dung was mainly used as a natural fertilizer, reflecting an early awareness of organic farming methods. And also, during this period, agriculture was closely tied to the monsoon cycles. So, these all indicate knowledge of sustainable agricultural practices of this period. The monsoon dependent system, which was followed during this period, meant that the crops were divided into Kharif crops and Rabi crops. Kharif crops included rice and millet, dependent on the summer monsoon rains, and Rabi crops included wheat and barley, which were grown during the winter season. So, this seasonal classification shows a systematic approach to farming and a climate adaptation of this period. During the early Common Era, agriculture became increasingly diversified and also technologically advanced. The sophisticated irrigation and water management systems were developed during this period. The Kallanai Dam or the Grand Anicut Dam on the Kaveri River stands as a remarkable example of the ancient engineering and efficient water regulation system of this period. Now, the regional specialization in crops developed, along with the different areas focusing on specific agricultural products based on their local climate and soil condition. So, many advancements happened during this early Common Era, which was 200 and 1200 CE period. Major agricultural expansion and trade also happened during this period. Rice was cultivated across river valleys and coastal regions, and it became the primary staple for growing populations in the continent. The sugarcane was widely cultivated and processed into sugar, jaggery, and other sweeteners, and also exported to the markets. Spice, the black pepper was the major spice that made India an exporter. establishing the lucrative trade routes with Rome and beyond. And the fruit cultivations included mango, banana, and other tropical fruits, supplementing the dietary needs of the population. This period also witnessed India's rise as a major exporter of spices, sugar, textiles, and this integrated agriculture with trade and global exchange. Agriculture during the late Middle Age period benefited from the introduction of Persian irrigation techniques and improved administrative systems under the Mughal Empire. And the regions began to specialize in particular crops, and systematic land revenue management was introduced, and new crops such as tobacco, coffee, and exotic fruits were also introduced. So Persian techniques played an important role during this period, along with the bureaucratic systems in the Mughal administration, which structured the land management, and also the invent of new crops like tobacco and coffee introduced a new wave in the agricultural production of this period. Now, under the British rule and the colonial era, agriculture underwent major structural changes, including the large-scale irrigation projects, which was introduced by the British colonial rulers, including canals and reservoirs. However, this was meant to be commercial interest rather than food security. And also the land revenue systems, which transformed and reshaped the traditional farming practices, and the advent of commercial crops such as cotton, indigo, and opium, instead of cultivating food crops. And this growing emphasis on cash crops led to the neglect of food cultivation. And combined with the exploitative policies by the government at that time, and also the population growth of this period, this resulted in frequent famines and rural distresses in the subcontinent. And across the centuries, Indian agriculture has evolved through innovation, adaptation, and environmental awareness. While ancient and medieval systems emphasized on sustainability and community needs, the colonial interventions disrupted this balance. So that's about the colonial period. And to conclude, the history of Indian agriculture, this reflects a broader changes in technology, governance, economy, and society. Thank you.